The release of Rage 2 is upon us, but with nearly 8 years since the first installment in the series, we could all do with a refresher on exactly what happened. So we're going to cram the entire main story into one video to bring you up to speed. It's the year 2029, a giant meteor is hurtling towards Earth, and all of humanity is doomed. However, unwilling to go down without a fight, many nations around the world began work on the Eden Project, and constructed a series of underground shelters, known as Arks, that would protect humanity's best and brightest. Those chosen were put into cryostasis, with the hope that they would emerge hundreds of years later, and begin to rebuild the world. So essentially, it's the same plot that Bethesda recycled a few years later for Fallout 4.
The pod will decontaminate and depressurize you before we head deeper in the vault. Just relax.
As the meteor tore through our solar system, the Arks were buried in secret locations around the world, and those who remained on the surface braced for the end. However, in an unforeseen stroke of luck, the meteor grazed the moon on its approach, and some of its mass broke away. As a result, the impact was not as devastating as previously predicted, and humanity was not entirely wiped out. Those who survived came together to form settlements around any habitable locations they could find as they attempted to rebuild their lives. However, with the collapse of civilization, many individuals became desperate and gave in to their more violent nature. These people formed gangs of bandits and began to terrorize the more peaceful settlements. Then, over time, other threats also emerged, such as the mutants, humans believed to have been transformed by radiation from the meteor. This is the world you wake up into as an inhabitant of one of the Arks.
Internal arc temperature nominal.
You are Nicholas Rain, the silent protagonist. Who Nicholas was before going into the Ark is almost a complete mystery, with the only solid information being that he was a lieutenant in the Marine Corps and is presumed to be in his mid-20s to early 30s. Nicholas sets out into the wasteland, and it doesn't take long for him to be welcomed by the locals. Your saviour is a man named Dan Hagar, who begins to fill you in on the current state of the world.
You know, Ark survivors are worth a lot of money to whoever hands them over to the Authority. Wait, you don't even know the Authority yet.
The Authority are the big bad of the Rage series. They are a highly organised military force that controls life in the wasteland, but we will learn more about them later. For now, there is a more pressing issue.
So here's what I need you to do. Head to where those bandits live and wipe them out, plain and simple. No one walks out alive, except you.
After wiping out the bandits and doing a few more favours to repay Dan for saving your life, it's time to move on. As although you've been a big help to him and those in the settlement, you're also likely to bring the Authority down on them, which is something they can't handle. But as a final farewell, he puts you in contact with the mayor of a nearby town.
Welcome to Wellspring, stranger. Best little town this side of what passes for civilization and a few good safe miles from any Authority outposts. Nicest people you'll ever find live right here. Friendly folk, not your wasteland bandit scum. Good honest people.
While in Wellspring, you finally change out of the Ark suit that has made you such an easy target for so long and start to earn your keep, performing missions for the mayor, sheriff, and others in town. Eventually, you get word that a group of bandits have been mining and refining a material called feltrite from a nearby crater. Feltrite is a mysterious substance that arrived on Earth within the meteorite, and the mayor wants you to collect a sample and bring it to a scientist named Kvasir.
All right, let's see what you have there.
Kvasir becomes the latest person to warn you about the Authority, but also informs you about a group called the Resistance, who are fighting against them.
You don't know how lucky you are that the Authority hasn't found you yet. If the Authority catches you and you don't have anything they need, you'll be dead. You are part of the old world, not part of their new world. Of course, there are people who stand up against them. Not many of them. They call themselves the Resistance. Not that I profess to have any special knowledge of them. But they exist in small bands, fighting back. And maybe, just maybe, you could be useful to them.
After returning to Wellspring, the town's water system is attacked by another group of bandits who are trying to poison it. Thankfully, you're able to stop them before once again being sent to Kvasir, this time to have him take a look at the mysterious toxin the bandits were using.
Now look at this. That's something.
Kvasir is quite impressed by the bandit's creation, and while examining the toxin, gets an idea. He is able to use it to complete the formula for a new kind of weapon he's been working on for the Resistance, a type of mind-controlled dart, and he tasks you with delivering it to them.
And now, here is where you come in. Find my friend Elizabeth Cadence. She will be in the Wellspring Bar.
Elizabeth is a member of the Resistance and she thanks you for the package, but their movement is in big trouble. Their leader, Captain Marshall, has been captured by the Authority and she needs you to bust him out.
Over here! I take it Elizabeth sent you. I'm sure glad to see you. The door controls are on that wall. Hurry, get me out of here.
One quick rescue mission later and you're a full Resistance member. And Captain Marshall is quick to put you to work, asking you to retrieve your ID drive, a device which each Ark inhabitant has, and he believes you left behind on the Ark. He explains that each of them contains a small piece of information about the entire Eden project, and as such both the Authority and the Resistance are trying to get as many as they can.
ID drive ejected.
After completing the mission, the Authority are closing in on you, but before you can leave town, there is one last job to do. The Resistance believes the Authority may be controlling the mutants that plague the wasteland, and they need you to find proof in their old research facility inside an area known as the Dead City.
We've got reports that the Authority has reprogrammed nanotrites and are using them to control mutants, changing them into something far worse than they are now. My guess is they figured out a way to use them as weapons.
After fighting your way through a whole bunch of Authority soldiers and a fair share of mutants, you get your hands on the data, which reveals a lot about the Authority's plans. But for now, Wellspring is no longer safe for you, and the price on your head is rising. It's time to move to the Resistance main base in Subway Town. During the journey, Captain Marshall fills you in on the Authority, and explains how they got to be so powerful.
Fighting the Authority is all I know. I've been doing it ever since my Ark emerged. I saw what they were doing. Nothing like this was supposed to happen after the asteroid hit. For once, our government had a good plan and good people in place to make it happen. But General Cross changed the timing of only a few Arks. Arks filled with his people. And that changed the course of humankind. Now, it's our job to make sure it isn't forever.
Not long after arriving at the base, you also learn that the Authority isn't just trying to control the mutants, but that they actually created them.
Mutants were created by the Authority experimenting with nanotrites and humans. The failures were rejected and discarded into the wasteland like trash left to reproduce and spread. That's the truth, and that's what people need to know.
After doing a number of jobs for the eclectic selection of people in Subway Town, the Resistance tech expert is able to decrypt your ID drive, and on it there are locations, codes and re-entry times for every Ark that was ever buried.
With this, we can strike at the heart of the Authority. We can use the codes in your ID drive to free all the Arks that the Authority has imprisoned beneath the Earth.
Now you have the key to defeating the Authority, but to activate it, you needed to infiltrate their capital city, get to the Ark control system, and upload the data from the ID drive. As for the Resistance, they would put people in place to help those who emerged from the Arks, and form together to build an army that could defeat the Authority.
This is it, what we've been planning for so many years coming. But now, we will be able to hit the Authority where it hurts.
Inside the city, you fight your way through hordes of Authority soldiers and mutants under their control, but eventually you reach the control system and upload the data. That is where Rage ends, and there will be a 30-year gap before the beginning of Rage 2. In the new game, the world is different, with vegetation and swamps taking the place of the dusty wasteland. We will also be playing a new protagonist, a ranger named Walker. However, the Authority remains the big threat. We will no doubt learn what happened in those intervening years, and see many familiar faces in the sequel. But for now, as always, this is James Verkerst, saying thanks for watching, and enjoy the game.
Then BAM! This world is an arena. and it's everything versus me.